Welcome back to another episode of Life Imbalance Podcast, which is our flagship podcast where we discuss research-based evidence and insights so that you may make better health choices for your health and your body. And today we're going to be talking about a substance that has been in controversy for decades and also in praises for decades, which is what we call eraweed, or marijuana, or cannabis, or whatever you may call it. And we're going to be looking at the benefits it has and the harms and how it works in our bodies. Naitwa Desiree na niko na Dr. Peter.
Thank you, Desiree. As introduced, today we're talking about weed or ganja, as it is famously known. And yeah, we're here to give you the most up-to-date health information to help you make better health choices.
Yeah. So I think we all may be wondering in our society, kwa mfano kama Tanzania na nini, is it a miracle drug? Kweli kwa sababu there's a lot of either research or claims kwamba inafanya kazi inasaidia certain conditions or diseases in our body, or are we opening up a Pandora box? Kama ikiwa legalized, we're opening up something that we don't yet know na inaweza katuletea maafa on the long run. So I think historically how has it been like? Matumizi yake yameanzaje?
Historically, weed dates back to miaka 2500 BC iliyopita, where it has been shown to be used in Central Asia for different reasons, mostly for medicinal and ritualistic purposes. Also, it has been used in India, in Asia, to treat different diseases like malaria, rheumatism, pain management, and a lot of other chronic conditions. Right now we're seeing a lot of shift that it is being used more compared to the past maybe 50 years, where there was a very big criminalization scoop going on, and now it's starting to get back again in the market for medicinal and recreational uses. But it dates back to miaka 2500 BC.
Yeah, it's very interesting kwa sababu ukiangalia how kwenye legal aspect and how it is. So for example, countries like Canada, countries like Uruguay, it's fully legal for use, and I think that's both medicinal and recreational purposes. Now for the US utaangalia about 30 states in the US may approve and it's legal for use in the medicinal side of things, lakini pia states kama 20 hivi zime approve for recreational purposes. And it's pretty common na inatumika sana, so like I think recent studies or estimates zinaonyesha kwamba about 1 in 6 or 7 Americans wanatumia weed.
And I think that's why we're having this conversation. I think maybe we are lacking data in Africa or in Tanzania, but I'm sure the statistics might be even the same, or maybe more or less the same. It's interesting. I also saw these statistics saying kwamba in Canada there are a lot of pot shops compared to fast food shops.
Interesting.
Like all of them combined. McDonald's, Subway, and every other fast food shop, combine them, they are less in number compared to the number of pot shops that are found in Canada.
So I wonder how it will be in Tanzania sasa hivi. Itakuwa sababu kuna pot shops nyingi zaidi ya viduka vya chips.
We should legalize it for here
and then see how that works. So I think with weed or cannabis, there's different strains. So we have the popular ones ambao ni the sativa na indica ambao ni tofauti ya zile plants tu ambazo zinakuwepo. And so how are they different?
Well, as you say, the plant is a little bit different in terms of shape and all that. There's a lot of talks about why would you differentiate the strain of plants based on just the look on the outside, but also people say they have different effects. Like indica is called in the couch strain because when you take it makes you feel lazy, a bit lazy or sleepy. So people use that mostly when they're trying to sleep. So it's mostly used at night when people are trying to sleep, or on weekends when someone is just chilling at home. And sativa is more of a high strain. When you take it, you're more some people say they are more creative when they're taking it. They're more active. You feel more high, more energetic, and you want to go out and do things and talk and things like that. So it's more used during the day. mostly in countries that it is legalized, because that's where you can actually get a chance to choose which strain you're buying and all that.
Yes,
but in some places which is still a criminal act to possess or to sell, well, I don't think you're really much in a position to choose which strain you're buying or which one you're using, because of lack of those informations and regulations to make it a more transparent.
Yeah, nadhani hapo it's very interesting kwa sababu, as you said, kwa sababu it's not legal, then mtu anaweza akachukua akatumia whatever ipo in the market au iko available kwake. But I think also the differences zinakuja pale ambapo I think we'll talk about it a bit shortly, kwamba hata the effects that easy cannabis inayo from kwa mfano mimi nikitumia na wewe zitakuwa different just because of the difference in mechanism of action. And the differences kwenye hiyo sativa na indica, utaona sasa ni difference ya the key components za what we call cannabis or weed, ambayo we have the THC and the CBD. Kwa unakuta in one species huyu ana different levels za THC, ile ratio unasema kuiangalia, and there's different types. Kwa it's actually more studied and more well understood in the West, ambapo tayari at least it's legal as opposed to huku kwetu ambacho mtu atapata tu kwa njia za chini.
Yeah, but there's also controversy on that, because a group of people will use the same strain and will have different effects. One of them will sleep, one of them will be super hyped, another will get an anxiety episode on the same kick.
Na mtu mwingine itamsaidia kukama anxiety yake.
Exactly. So I think some people believe that it's all in our head, like how you react to weed, no matter what strain you're using, it's all in your head. Some people will react in a certain way on the same strain, and others in the opposite opposite way.
I think hapo sasa I think it comes down to the cannabinoid system ambayo ipo within our bodies. Kwa hiyo I think after all we study, na I think hata hiyo cannabinoid receptors zimekuja baada ya kufuata neno cannabis. So wakaja kuona kwamba zina interact na cannabis, so there's cannabinoid receptors in our brains across our bodies actually. Kwa hiyo the way it works ndio imekuwa interesting, kwamba sasa the way unavoichukua, kwa sababu I think there's different ways you can have it. You can smoke it, you can have it as an edible. I think is there any other way? I think mostly
vaping,
commonly
people are vaping
or vaping. Kwa the moment inaingia in our bodies and through our capillary system, whatever, our blood, ndio inaweza kuinteract na hizo nani. So the way it causes effect within the receptors ndio hizo sasa inaweza kaleta hiyo stimulating effect ambayo ni kama kwa Kiswahili ni kama kuchangamsha tuseme, au more stimulating, na nyingine nyingine inakuwa kama indica, inakuweka in the couch, una chill and all those
just chilling.
So cannabinoid system, can you share?
You did mention it. The endocannabinoid system is the system that is in the body, and the body does produce different endocannabinoid substances, which kwa lugha rahisi ni mfumo tu mwingine wa mwili ambao mara nyingi unatumika kumodulate au kuregulate the immune system and the nervous system. So the endocannabinoid system is distributed throughout our body, from the central nervous system, peripheral nervous system to your immunity system. And mostly it does transfer different informations, and what it does is regulation of those information through the neural, the synaptic gates between one neuron and another. The endocannabinoid system usually acts there in terms of production of some substances that will let the information pass from one neuron to another, and then will make that information to not be continuously transmitted. Ndio maana unaweza ukasikia ni kama vile ambavyo unavyosikia sauti, mtu akiongea akinyamaza, you stop hearing it, but you can process it. So it allows for the information to go to your brain, but it also cuts the information, kwa sababu jinsi ambavyo taarifa zinasafiri kutoka kwenye mfumo mmoja kwenda mwingine kwa kutumia hizo chemical system, the neurotransmitters. So the chemical has to be created for you to hear, and that chemical has to be destroyed or transmitted or transformed to something else for you to stop hearing when I stop talking. So the endocannabinoid system controls that, and that's how when you smoke pot or when you smoke weed, when it interferes with those endocannabinoid system, which is supposed to be a regulator, that's when you can have like altered reality.
Yes. There's like amplify the way you to something, or like a diminish.
You can have hallucinations. Some people have reported hallucination. Though science doesn't really support weed as a psychedelic, but some people have reported hallucination, especially in extreme use. For people who are using every day or who are using in large amount.
So I think before we go kwenye benefits, maybe now we can, kwa sababu tayari umeshaongelea some of the effects ambazo zipo, we can talk about the risks, and I think one ni kama hiyo ambayo umeongelea kwenye cognitive impairment, and I think a lot of research and lots of cases are being reported kwamba there's an effect kwenye memory.
Yes.
Kwamba your memory will be affected kwa sababu tayari you have cannabinoid receptors in our brains, right? Kwa using it inaweza ikapoteza short term memory. Mostly because short term memory inaweza ikawa ni ability coordination in terms of either how you walk na nini, ina affect your coordination, attention as well.
Your learning ability.
And I think for the one that your learning ability, I think it's more highlighted kwamba for those that are younger than 25 years, because there's a high concentration ya cannabinoid receptors in our white matter in the brain. So ukianza kutumia below 25 years, then there's an effect ya kwenye cognition ambayo utaipata, kwa sababu there's actually a high concentration ya cannabinoid receptors kwenye white matter. So this is actually it's a very important point that at least people should know, in terms of how and when they start wakianza kuitumia.
True. And our brains mature until we are 25. While your brain develops, and then by the time you're born, pretty much everything is in there, but it keeps on maturing to at least you're 25. So the usage of marijuana before 25 has shown to have different effects in the brain, even anatomic changes. People have found distinct changes or abnormalities from the usual human brain in 25 and younger year olds who are using cannabis compared to the controlled population. So they are actually psychological, they are physiological, and also anatomical changes that can happen if you use it early on.
And we're not saying kwamba sasa baada 25 ndo uanze kutumia. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying kwamba research is showing and is suggesting kwamba they will have the most effect as far as cognitive function is concerned ukitumia less than 25. And I think maybe it's important for like either parents or whatever to consider. I think another risk ni issues kama ulivyokuwa umesema, paranoia, a lot of anxiety came out, ina exacerbate kwa sababu tumeshaongelea the psychoactive effect ya cannabis. Inaweza either stimulate or depress things. There's a lot of exacerbation as far as ku increase anxiety kwa watu ambao wamekuwa nayo na paranoia.
Yeah, true. And I think maybe one thing that might be a big question to a lot of our listeners will be, is weed addictive? Most people, that's one of the questions that you hear hata ukiwa mtaani, watu wanauliza hichi kitu kitanipa uraibu, na watu wengi wanaisema vizuri kwamba haileti uraibu, na one of the things ambazo wanataka kuitumia kama kujustify the use. And I think it's true, most research has shown that it's less addictive compared to other drugs that have that are psychoactive. Maybe because when we're talking about addiction, we're talking about use disorder and the potential of it having withdrawal symptoms if you stop. And research have shown that 10 to 30% of users have a use disorder. Yeah, so like they would want to use it and want to go back to it for some reason, maybe because it helps with their sleep, makes them creative, different reasons. But also there are some withdrawal symptoms that have been reported. Things like having vivid dreams, insomnia, kukosa usingizi na vitu kama hivyo, which is a bit tricky kwa sababu moja ya matumizi makubwa ya cannabis for medicinal uses is to treat insomnia. And there's actually a very interesting cycle when it comes to insomnia or sleep and weed. I've seen this research which showed that weed inapunguza quality of sleep. So if you're using weed, your quality of sleep decreases, but the time that you sleep might increase. One of the things that happen is someone who has smoked weed will go to sleep earlier compared to mtu mwingine. Say tumeenda kulala sasa hivi. Mimi kama nimesmoke na uwezo kulala mapema zaidi compared to you.
Dakika moja labda kumetasoma dakika 10.
Dakika 10 around there. And the average time for someone to sleep after they have switched off their light is 10 to 20 minutes. So if you smoke weed, that can be maybe 5, that can be shorter. But the quality of sleep that someone who has smoked weed will have is different from the quality of sleep that someone who hasn't will have. Kuna vitu kama difference in sleeping cycle, because we know mtu akilala kuna stage ya kuwa awake. There's a stage that is called REM, which is rapid eye movement, which is pretty much the stage where you dream and you actually remember your dream. And then there is light sleep and deep sleep. So first, when you go to bed, you will go from being awake to deep sleep, and then you'll be going in cycles between deep sleep and REM. And REM is where you dream, and actually where you have maybe where you enjoy most of your sleep. So one effect that weed causes to sleep, it decreases your REM. First, it increases the time it takes between when you go to sleep and when you actually experience your first REM cycle. It also makes them shorter, which makes you unlikely to remember your dreams when you wake up. So you will find research has shown that most people who are smokers or who are consumers of cannabis either don't dream or don't remember their dreams. But when they stop smoking or when they stop using cannabis, they start to have dreams. Actually, that can be one of the withdrawal symptoms, whereas people have more vivid dreams compared to how they were experiencing them before.
And I think insomnia itakuja kwa sababu kama ulivyosema itaongeza duration of sleep, kwa hiyo ukiacha then unashindwa kupata sleep kwa sababu you're using it to kupata usingizi. Okay, any other risk kwenye upande wa heart? I think there's a lot of evidence from the American Heart Association kwenye increase risk ya stroke na heart attacks kwa watu ambao wanatumia. I think actually wame attribute to about 25% of weed smokers. Na wamejaribu ku isolate huyu ni mtu ambaye alikuwa hatumii tobacco before na alikuwa ana any other risk factor nyingine. So evidence is huge as far as heart health is concerned.
Maybe it could be first because of the different shuffles in the psychological health that you get with weed, that when you're using it, it might calm you, or it might exacerbate your anxiety, or when you stop using, things might get worse. That also maybe the munchies, I don't know, because people who smoke get their appetite are boosted, and they usually have munchies, and usually some of them go to consume these junk foods, which can increase the risk of those non-communicable diseases like stroke and heart attacks. So maybe that could be the explanation. But I think most of those are observations. There have not been a scientific pathway that has been discovered to show or explain causality. So I don't know. I think there's still room.
I think hapo ndo pale ambapo kuna hiyo tunasema sasa there's still controversy kwamba tayari there's reports za the risks and the side effects, but also there's benefits which I think one of which ni kwenye cancer na chemotherapy. Weed has been big as a benefit. Weed has been big kwenye kusaidia kupunguza side effects za chemotherapy. So you tend to have nausea, you tend to have vomiting, you tend to have issues with the nervous system, yani numbness, kusema ganzi. Na imesaidia wagonjwa wengi ambao wako kwenye chemotherapy kuweza combat hizo side effects. So that's just one area. Another area would be kwenye I think the Journal of Rheumatology waliongelea kwenye upande wa chronic pain, where it really helped kwa watu ambao kama issues za arthritis ni ugonjwa wa viungio, ambayo
Kiswahili wanasema baridi yabisi,
whatever that is bro. So imesaidia sana chronic pain. A lot of evidence kwenye the Journal of Pharmacology USA na the Journal of Rheumatology kwenye the ability au effect ya cannabis kwenye kusaidia kupunguza hizo pain.
Inflammation in general. I think all the diseases ambazo zinatokana na inflammation weed has shown to have a very good impact in them, especially for people like cancer patients who have to use very strong analgesics. Nadhani cannabis imekuja imeleta kama mageuzi kwenye matumizi, especially kwa zile nchi ambazo wanaruhusu matumizi yake, at least for medicinal uses, kwa sababu kuna watu walikuwa wanatumia dawa nyingine ambazo they are very addictive, so they will help with their pain, but they will make them dependent on their medications for a long time. They will make them unable to perform other activities. Kwa mtu anakuwa free from pain, lakini anakuwa hawezi kufanya majukumu yake mengine ya kila siku kwa sababu ile dawa labda inamlevya sana. But these cannabis have been shown to be able to close that gap, to be able to help with the pain and the inflammation, but still make you productive.
Yeah, that's interesting kabisa.
Another area I think that weed has been exceptional is kwenye matibabu ya magonjwa ya neurological system.
Mishipa ya fahamu.
Mishipa ya fahamu, in diseases like Alzheimer. Though on the other side, it might increase risks of such diseases and other neurodegenerative diseases. Also, the usage has been shown to improve the quality of life of people who have those diseases and who otherwise be on other medication that might compromise their quality of life. Also in epilepsy. I think there's a lot of evidence.
There's actually nyingine out of news. I think one that I saw was Professor Catherine, somebody from Stanford, ambaye her child alikuwa anapata epileptic seizures sana. Now, it's one of the popular stories about the breakout of America, and so they had tried a number of things, and the medications he has not side effects. So ndo akaanza explore the use of cannabis and their derivatives, particularly CBD, ile ingredient ya CBD. So what she did, by the time she was doing that, I think haikuwa legal for medicinal use in the US, so alibidi afanye in Europe. Ndo wakatafuta some actives wakatengeneza akampa, and the child actually was reported to be having about 28 episodes za seizures a day. But after starting to use per day, it was
28. That's like more than one within every hour.
So you can imagine how burdensome it could be kwa parents na mtoto mwenyewe. So baada ya muda wakaanza kutumia the cannabis and whatever medicines ambayo iko made out of it, waliweza ku bring down to 3 episodes only, and they could see how the child amenani. So that was one of the popular stories ambazo zilikuwa zimefanyika, and you can see now the part ya sasa miraculous part of it in terms of like a miracle drug, lakini pia the other side of controversy, but also justifies why states or countries nyingi wame-legalize kwa sababu tu ya hiyo kwamba it has some very good effects, benefits, but also there's some risks that are reported.
I think that's the advantage of decriminalizing it, because you remove the stereotype, you remove the stigma, you allow people to engage more in terms of research, so that we can discover more of the benefits and the risk. I think it's unavoidable to have it in your society. It is around the community.
As much as
inakatazwa. So I think maybe changing it from being a criminal, a drug that is associated with criminal activity, to something else which is more regulated and moderated can be more of benefit, especially in today's world, because it can help us crack and understand more of the benefits we can get out of it. Things, I think vitu kama hivyo ambavyo wamesema ni obvious kwamba kuna a lot of benefits ambazo unaweza tukazipata tukaweza kuitumia for medicinal uses, na tukaweza kuitumia for different other reasons, maybe even recreational uses, because we see a lot of countries which are ahead of us who are decriminalizing it, who are using it for different uses, but we can do it the same way they are doing it. We also have to incorporate our culture and tradition within our practice. But I think maybe do you think it's high time for us now to look into the other way of dealing with it? Maybe not legalize it, but maybe to start and be more intentional about the conversation and how our regulations of the drug with respect to medicinal use and general use in
Yeah, I mean, I think it's time, kwa sababu hata ukiwa kwenye psychiatry wards in this country, ukimweza hata any provider, you would have cases ambazo watu wanakuja na zimekuwa as a result ya use of cannabis or weed or anything. So as much as maybe sheria yetu haijaruhusu yet, lakini hatuwezi kudeny kama ulivyosema kwamba inatumika. So I think it's something we could take an approach. Kwa mfano kama US, the way they classify drugs, watumia zile schedules 1, 2, 3, and I think by 1960s US had classified cannabis in schedule 1. About schedule 1 ni kwamba they have no benefit kwenye medical use, lakini pia zina high potency and they're illegal. So high dependency ipo kule. So vitu kama heroin ndio vipo kwenye hiyo category, lakini looking back now iko kwenye stage 3 ambayo iko kwenye, I think that's kind of a low potency side ambayo it's used in medicine and benefits kwenye medicine, lakini still imekuwa kwenye category ya drugs ambazo like they still have benefits kwenye medicine side, lakini still zina likely without potential ya low ya kuweza kuwa na dependency na effects kwenye psychological na physical health. Yeah. So I think we should probably look into that, lakini hatujui context kama unavyosema is different.
Yeah, context I think, and maybe the shift must be very slow. Yeah. It must be put a lot of things into account. Yeah, as you said. I was looking into the shift of Thailand, because Thailand is known as one of the countries that has zero tolerance on drug. And I think 2 years ago, they legalized weed. It was like legal. You could just go in the street, just get it. You'll find people smoking it like everywhere. But now they're struggling to change their policy and to put some moderation and regulation within it. Now people have invested. It has made a lot of people rich, so now there's a lot of politics and other things to consider, and it's not that easy again to change the policy.
Sure. Walete huku tununue mashamba tuanze kupanda.
Yeah, kuna shamba langu moja pale mlima Uluguru pale. Mazingira na mimi mazuri kabisa.
Kuna prescribe clinic. No, that's I'm kidding. Yeah, so I think tumecover a bit of at least of a highlight. But yeah, I think this is also just to make it aware for anyone that is using, and due to the science behind and the risks and the benefits of it, at least you make informed decisions as either you use it in moderation, or if you're using it, what does it mean? So if you need you have any questions, or actually maybe tell us what you think, like what's your experience? Kama umeshatumia weed.
And what are your thoughts? What do you think is the future? What do you think is the direction we should go forward with respect to the subject matter?
Or if there's a story you would like to share in terms of how it has helped you and that you think would be beneficial, because this is like putting information on kwa watu so that they're able to like make informed decisions. So maybe we can look into that. So I think that's pretty much it for today. If you'd like to consult a provider, if you have any addictions or you've been using weed, you wanted to stop, you can always reach out to us. You can consult online. You can consult and chat with Dr. Peter right here through the Medicare app. So I think until next time.
Sure thing.
Thanks for being with us.